record. So this is the Recreation Commission meeting for Monday, June 8th, 2020. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather one place, this meeting of the Southborough Recreation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner: through YouTube or by finding the meeting information on our website. No in-person attendance or of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post in Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So we'll call the meeting to order at 7:45 p.m. So the first thing on the agenda, I had sent around our meeting minutes from last meeting. If people got a chance to read those, or if you want to pull them up so we can approve them.
Oops.
And if you need me to resend them, let me know. I could probably find them to resend them.
Jen, can you resend them to me, please?
Yep.
To Gmail?
Yep. Share.
I don't have any comments, Jen.
Okay. Okay. Kristen, is your Gmail has 2 L's in it, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. All right. It's on its way to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are we allowed to move on in the agenda while I...
Sure, we can
use
come back
this?
to it if we want
Yeah.
to. Okay, we'll come back to that and do it at the end.
I just want to keep everyone waiting.
No, it's okay. So do we want to, Tim, I put in all the different like topics you had to talk about in our agenda. So we can go with them in order or however you want to.
Yeah, we can order. I guess
them.
just some general update just on the office. The town has begun reopening the offices. So staff will be in starting today. I'm working Monday through Wednesday. Denise will be in Tuesday, Thursdays, and Alex is taking over Thursdays as well. All offices are going to be closed on Friday for an extended cleaning period. So we will all start trickling back in to the office today. And just a couple things that aren't on the list that are broken down just program wise. We have, so Kangaroo Field Hockey Camp, our big field hockey camp, they pulled out. Most of their staff is overseas, so they're staying put. But we only had, I think, 6 people registered to date. We usually have 30 to 40, but I think everybody held off once, stuff started back in March. So they emailed us, they pulled out, so wasn't too big of a hit. Thanks, but is what it is. Kind of saw that coming. We're working with Best Soccer though, because their second session is in August, which will be when we are open. So we need to just chat with them. They sound like they want to. So we just need to make sure if they run, they have their guidelines in place and parameters put together. So hopefully we can get that one going for the little kiddos. Just a week-long half-day soccer camp. And yeah, we just continue collaborating with the library and youth and family. I think we released 3 more programs with the library this past week. And those have been pretty well received. We're going to start helping them with curbside pickup as well, just to assist. Denise, Alex, and I think we're going to be taking turns starting next week, just in a couple hours here and there, just to get some face-to-face with the public. All the stuff we kind of planned out to give out at our free programs, we're going to kind of put in their bags for their book pickup, just little fun promotional things. But we'll start helping the library. I know youth and family will be over there too. So not real much on the programming side, as we're, camp was our biggest thing. But yeah, that's all I got with that. And then with projects, have you guys driven past the Petrie recently?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is a mountain of dirt in the parking lot.
Yep.
That is off and running, and the weather is helping tremendously. So they hit their first checkpoint already with payment, so they submitted that. So they're hauling pretty good. Pretty much all the soil's removed. Art was down there a couple times, same with myself. It's just like a house. You take down some walls, you find stuff. You start digging, you find stuff. So a couple things to address, a couple grading issues, things like that, but nothing that's inflated the costs or caused any delay. There's a couple of gas lines we didn't expect to be so close to the surface. And again, just some clarifications on some grading throughout the field. But I went by today. I mean, it looks really, really good for the short time that they had. Town meeting is going to know that the work's well underway, being right across the street. So I kind of want to plant a big sign right there. But it's going, so DePietri is going good. They presented to us a change order to put sod in, because that was something we took out. But it's just too much money. It would throw us over almost 10 grand. So we'll stick with seed, and we're still comfortable with that, especially with the irrigation system there. We'll be able to take care of it. So, as of now, still on track to be built as expected.
That's awesome.
And then,
Can I ask a quick question? What do they do about the gas lines?
it was just clarification. I think that was part of the grading piece of it, to make sure they didn't hit it and that they could work around it. I didn't hear that it was any problem. They just wanted Art out there to chat with them. So as long as they told me no problem, as far as I'm concerned. So we'll take it. But they have been great, though. I talked to Alan, the head of that company, almost every day, either with updates or he just has some clarification questions. So it's been a really good relationship so far. So very, very happy with it. It was what we expected. The next is the lights. I talked to Art about this too, and it seems like they're hauling pretty good on it. When I chatted with him, the 2 things they were doing, they needed some clarification that they were working on for existing conditions at the baseball fields. So they were compiling that list for me. And then they wanted contact with public safety, that they can work with them to get a sign off on the access egress for Medevac, because it's Medevac field. So I got them in touch with them today, just to get the information they needed. And they got me a timeline. I don't have it in front of me. They did get me a timeline once, once we get approval from planning. It looks like it's going to be, 3 weeks between advertisement and bidding. They said right now it's 8 weeks for production of the lights, but that's a question mark because of COVID. Just a matter of, how fast they're going to go. And then he said it should be 2 to 3 week install period. So if we get this in, with next month or so, we should be able to pull this off before the construction season ends. So just looking for those questions from them. but Justin's the guy who's been assigned to it. Justin's working on a couple of other projects. And so far they seem pretty confident that they're putting together a good package. So we'll see. I requested a list of planning board meetings from Sarah in the planning department, just so that we can potentially set some goals for them on some meetings we can hit, so we can start getting in front of them. I like to think we're going to be 100% the first time, but I have a feeling we won't be. So we'll try to get in front of them as soon as possible. But they're moving. I was very happy to hear the progress, and yeah, hopefully by next meeting between all of us, I should have even more progress on that.
It's awesome.
And yeah, those are the projects. So.
And as far as town meeting goes, I mean, I've been trying to pay close attention. Well, we're going to talk about town meeting in a second. Never mind. Keep going.
Or do you want me to just keep going, Jen, down the list?
Yeah, that works.
So phase 2. So we released the phase 2 reopening plan on Friday. I think I sent it to you guys. Got the stamp of approval from Public Safety and Board of Health. They're all in agreement. It's a drastic change from August 1st, obviously. The August, we were talking about the August 1st date, and this is just more for informational. Originally, phase 2 was August 1st, just because at that point when we were planning, we had no guideline. Public Safety had no guidelines to look at. They had no markers to meet, nothing like that. Ooh, Kristen, you're gonna get in trouble for that one.
Oh, jeez. I had to stop my video this is what happens when you share Zoom with kids and a laptop. I don't even know what that was. That was my son. That's why I'm signed in as Ryan LaVault. And then, sorry.
So August 1 was the original date, just because we had no guidelines from the state. So they're being cautious, abundantly cautious, just because there was no idea on the table of what things were going to look like. So that's why they pushed it out as far as they can after we got the initial guidance and the further guidance from the state. I met with the chief, and I actually met along with Faye and St. Mark's. I invited them in because they've had a desire to kind of get on board with the town on what we're doing. So we all kind of hashed it out, which was great to get their side of it too. So the 15th was the date. That's 1 week behind the state, but it's because Southborough started their phasing on the 25th. It was either the 18th or the 25th were the two initial dates. Southborough started theirs on the 25th, so they're going 3-week increments from the 25th. So that's what gets us to the 15th. But phase 2 is practices, skills and drills, as we put it, which is great because we've gotten a whole bunch that have come in. So Don, the regional boys soccer league is all set. That was
Great.
today and booked. Thank you for doing that. Baseball.
Thanks for taking care of that. They had reached out not knowing what was going on, and I said, and I think they tried in years past and may not have had a good experience. So I said, no, you got to talk to the new guy.
Yeah, they were wide open. There was one, Massachusetts had one date, but they canceled use of our fields. They canceled because they were going off of if we were August 1st. So, but that was only one. So no big deal there. Baseball got theirs in. I wasn't able to finish that today, but that will be done tomorrow. Just waiting for their roster, so we get an idea of, I guess, revenue from that. One of the men's league had some time, August only, so I reached out to them if they wanted to do that again. I don't think softball is going to be going on, just because I don't think between us and Northborough, I think it was a little shaky, and if they could get the adequate time they needed. So that's off. We had a few captains practice people, kids from high schools reach out, stuff like that. So people know about it. People are calling. People are emailing. So that'll be good for that account, just to get some revenue in 9/11 and as well as the field maintenance fund. So that was good. Phase 3, if all goes well, if the numbers stay what they are and the trends keep going down, phase 3 will be July 6th, and that will be competition contact. The one thing that we moved from phase 2 to phase 3 that the state did not was basketball courts. Kind of made a judgment call there on pickup games. If you're really playing pickup, it's definitely a contact sport. So we're playing it safe on that one. Haven't gotten much pushback Unless everybody's watching this now and now they're aware. So maybe, but it's mainly just Woodward. We've had some people over at the Arts Center, admittedly, but it's one or two people just shooting hoops, and it's not a big deal. So it's just the pickup games that we're worried about. But so far so good. It's been well received. We took a lashing on the forum for phase 1, so hopefully phase 2 will be more up people's alley to get them on there. Any questions on that? Seeing none. All right. Kristen, you had a question on town meeting? It's next.
No, and the project's actually going back. What's the latest with, well, 2 questions on Finn. What's the latest from Karen on when that equipment might finally be hauled away?
The skate park?
Yeah.
She said, when I talked to Chris, he said within 3 weeks. So it sounds like we're getting there. The issue is they can't pull back the fencing. They need an actual fence contractor to come in. So I think
Gotcha.
they're trying to schedule that out.
Makes sense.
I think within a month, we should see it gone.
And then I'm trying to recall, did we vote to move forward with the basketball flooring that you'd found?
We were looking at it, and I think we were looking at it kind of right before everything kind of hit.
Yeah.
So I've admittedly not gone further on it. If that's something we want to look at now, I don't know if we want to expend those funds with nothing coming in,
Right.
if I'm being
Right.
honest, especially because we're doing the playground.
Right.
We have had a lot of people ask to put a net up because people want tennis, just because
This is allowed.
tennis is allowed, and it's Neary is the nicer ones, and they get crowded. They've been pretty packed.
Yeah.
I've been over there. So short term, maybe we can throw up a net.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Throw up a
could
net in a ticket booth.
say what?
Throw up a net in a ticket booth.
There you go. A quarter machine to get in the gate. So,
Yep, that makes sense. I understand. What was my question on town meeting?
but we have had 3 or 4 chains and bolts cut. DPW
Yeah.
and sending me pictures, so we'll get that bill. So, I talked to Chief Paulus, and they put it on their rotation to be safe, just because I just don't want to keep paying for those. So hopefully it works.
Put up one of those signs that says, there's a camera.
Yeah.
Buy a cheap Ring camera or GoPro, throw it up top.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was my only project related question.
Just for this week's town meeting, right now I don't think I'm going to be around for Saturday. Did all of our stuff get moved, or anything that would have been ours moved to the
That's what I
next
was
meeting?
gonna ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last CPC meeting, they voted to move Galander to fall, which sounds like late September, October. And then if this one goes Saturday, if we get a quorum. And the lighting bylaw as well was moved to fall. So,
But they
So,
did say that anybody at the meeting, although it'd be a
Yeah.
pretty low move for them to do it, like they could vote not to push those items,
correct, yeah.
which
they'd have to get like a 50%, they'd need quorum to actually hold them and actually vote on them though. So,
yeah. I'm just looking at the weather for Saturday.
Don't be hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be
That-
hot.
Oh no.
It's
Yep.
going to look like Southborough Rec sponsored it, because our tents are all out there. So I think we're going to have 4 of our tents popped up in the field. So it's going to be great. Hopefully it goes well. So,
Bring your own tent. We getting any food trucks, or no? Those aren't legal either.
we have Southborough Rec sunglasses. I was thinking about giving them away.
There you
That's a
go.
good idea.
Tim, how'd you make out with all the families that planned on having kids in camp?
Good. We've only had 2 people who reached out for some clarifications on why. A lot of disappointment, as expected.
Sure.
Pure understanding. So, and we got the official guidelines too last week before, and they were pretty much what we believed, and they were pretty significant. It's actually caused a lot of the people, I think Grafton was one of them, who saw them and then decided, okay, we can't do this, just because it was a lot. So it's kind of hit or miss. I think we made the right decision though. Still a bummer, still a huge bummer, but
Mhm.
we're still confident in the decision after seeing what we saw.
Did you get all the refunds done?
All the refunds are out. It's very sad to see that number every time we log into the system. But yeah, everything's out. We had a couple issues with, people got new credit cards at that point, but we took care of them with checks from the town and stuff like that. So we hit that hard just to get it behind us. So nothing should be
Right.
out there. So yeah, town meeting, all we have on there is the budget. The town still hasn't approved a budget though. I know that selectmen and advisory are meeting this week. So with ours, the only thing that they could cut was salaries. So they're going on the 2% budget cut. So that's we split it evenly between Alex and myself. There's no reason for one to get more than another. But there is talk of us being on that exempt list just because, we didn't have supplies that we could cut or training budgets or
Mhm.
anything like that. So the people that, a couple of people from advisory have reached out and I've watched a bunch of the meetings and they really don't want to on our end. So we're hopeful, obviously, I'm hopeful that they can find it, but happy I have,
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about a cut because I'm still employed at this point and what's going on, but still a bummer. But we should have a better, hopefully, we have I think their meeting's tomorrow. We have
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a department head meeting on Wednesday, so hopefully we'll get some guidance.
Speaking of that, though, I was considering calling because I'm interested in that discussion. I'm also interested in the conversation about the two other, the youth and family services position and the IT position. So I was thinking I'd probably call into that meeting. Just wanted to make sure how many others were in case I don't know what the rules are now. We obviously can't post an agenda, but if we're all there if 3 of us were there as citizens because we were interested, can we do that because we're on Zoom? I'm trying to figure out how that works.
So when we call in, we can't actually talk to each other. We're segregated, right? We can
Mhm.
observe. So it's more of the law is preventing us from having a discussion with quorum. We can't physically do that when we watch the Zoom or watch it on YouTube. So I think we're fine.
I guess it's just like cable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd all have to raise hands and they'd have to all accept and then.
Right.
That
Yeah.
didn't happen last time, but anyways.
Yes. And then Kristen, you had just raised the question about childcare at town meeting.
Yeah, I hadn't really gone in there thinking about that. And then I was just listening to the board talking and it just kind of sprung up in my head. And I was just curious if it had come up in their discussions. I clarified that it had not been something on one of our agendas. I was not speaking on behalf of the commission, but it just piqued my interest since they were talking about town meeting. They're not going to support it. And then they made a comment that if rec wanted to pursue it, they should certainly feel free to, but I would find that weird if the town didn't want to support it. We're an extension of the town. And so I don't know. And I've been brainstorming ever since, because obviously we can't pull it together. I mean, it's Monday, right? But I wish I could think some way to connect people who may actually want to go, because every little thing that we could do to help attendance, like even if it was a 1-for-1, like if we had more time, if I had thought, like I hadn't really even thought about it till they were talking that night, and it being outside. And in theory, with time, we could have planned something maybe more one-on-one between a teen and a little kid, or there's probably things we could have done, but now it's Monday. So short of trying to do stuff on our own as citizens on Facebook, I don't see us as a commission being able to pull something together, get it approved. But I'm sure if we wanted to do something, it would have to get some layer of approval. So I'm just wishing we'd thought about it before. Like I hadn't even thought about it before, but things have been changing so quickly. So if anything, I might out on Facebook suggest that people check out the Babysitting Network or something. But again, because I brought it up in the Board of Selectmen, I didn't want to not put it on this agenda and share with you that I did bring it up with the Board of Selectmen and what they said, and they just cannot support it at this time. So I don't think we need, unless someone feels differently, I just wanted to share that with you, and that's why I asked for it to be put on the agenda.
Yep. And Tim, you were starting to give me a little bit so I've seen pictures of other towns that literally chalked the field and every family had their own square Is that kind of similar to what we're gonna do, or?
Yeah, I was talking to Jim Hegarty quickly today when I was dropping off the tents and coolers and stuff like that. And it sounds like everyone's going to get a 12-foot square with a chair in it. I think that's the dimensions, but it was distancing plus some. So they're going to be spread pretty far apart throughout the entire field. There'll be a big projection screen, sound system, everything like that to project what they need. So it should be interesting. It should be a sight to see. Yeah, I think the thing with childcare too, I think it was kind of sprung abruptly that they were going to do it outside.
Yeah.
But also, I think traditionally, even if it was outside, we would use the gym or something like that. But we can't go on the playground. The Petrie's obviously not there, so
Yeah.
I just think it's not in the cards this year. So, but I know it's a bummer. I'm sure a lot of people depend on that. So, if I had to guess, I know.
Hopefully it'll be just easier in general. Like we were just talking
Yeah.
about bringing the kids and making them, they'll sit on the grass or they'll bring a chair and Kristen, if we're in squares next to each other, our kids can hang out.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we can trust Ryan Colby. I somehow see a screen coming down and chaos. But
They were very good at Finn last week by playing distantly, so
Yeah.
it could work.
we could take turns going, and yeah, we'll probably do
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep. Cool. Alrighty. So then we also had summer concert series and
Yeah.
movies and stuff.
So we've been talking a lot about the concerts and the movies. So we sent out a survey. I don't know if you guys saw that one on, what the town would prefer when it came to those, or their comfort level. I don't have it in front of me, but it was mainly, if we did concerts, would you be comfortable with the traditional outdoor? If we put distancing guidelines in place, we did the same exact thing for concerts. Overwhelmingly, people said, yeah, absolutely. We're up to, I want to say we're over 300 now with responses, which again is great for a public survey of that type. But in the same light, we put out the drive-in movie piece of it, and people said, yeah, absolutely, we'd be interested in it. But truth be told, drive-ins are just way more money. It's more staff, bigger screen, transponder, everything like that. So I initiated a conversation with the chief when we were talking about fields, and he was comfortable with us doing it if we had guidelines in place. So similar to what town meeting's doing, if we had the chalk circles or the squares and designated areas for people to set up their seats to enjoy the show, both movies or concerts, but also with signage and posting about, wear a mask if you're outside your space. Still have to figure out the porta potty situation, things of that nature. I know with town meeting, they're being cleaned every half hour. That's how they're doing it at town meeting. So, we'll have to see if that's something we want to do. So there's still a lot of questions to be answered, and I think a lot more to meet on. But the sense, and I proposed it to Emily too, the new town nurse, and I did it on my way out. I saw her response quickly. She didn't seem to think it was too big of a deal. She did have concern about the kids kind of running amok
Yeah.
on these. So, that could be a potential issue we see on site, or hopefully, parents may have a little control on it. But it seems to be not out of the question, because I propose we move them all into phase 3 and phase 4 when the level of restrictions are very low. There's only one concert that takes place in phase 2. I started talking to them today. So we just have to see if they're willing to move. They may be booked up because we're already in the summer. But if the town's okay with it, I kind of think we need to go with it. I think we offer something. I think it needs to be. I think it's something we can control pretty significantly. We can staff it. We have the PPE on hand for that amount of staff that we'll need, and I think we have I think town meeting will be a good test to see how they're spacing and it's the space we need. And we're even talking about moving it from the St. Mark's Field maybe to Neary or to where the concerts are, just because there's more parking. It's more ample space, kind of a little easier. So we're actively looking at those. I'm hopeful to have a kind of a schedule and a confirmation on what we're doing by the end of the week, because I want to get that out to the town and to the public so they can plan, because it's 4 weeks away. So those are the concerts and movies. And then summer nights, we had a lot of discussion on. We actually met with the Friends. They invited us to a meeting with the new board. It was great. And we kind of talked about summer nights. You know, I think it was an interesting conversation because you think about it, it's like, we can't have a rock wall because you can't disinfect a rock wall every time someone climbs up. You can't disinfect a pony when you go for a pony ride. You could, but it'd be kind of strange. So we're kind of looking at the idea of it being a fireworks only event. Did we talk about this last time?
No.
Okay.
No.
I talked to so many people about this. I just want to make sure. Because we have a credit with the fireworks company because of Triple E last year.
Oh my gosh.
So the fireworks are paid for already. So we're kind of looking at, again, a low impact kind of passive event. So we're thinking if we did fireworks only, we got a band to play music while people are waiting, and then maybe do food trucks. We think that could potentially pull off. Again, I did mention that to the chief. He seemed in favor of it. But I think it's going to be a lot more than a yes or no, because I think we'd have to put a certain amount of people on the Neary field. I think we'd move a certain amount of people up to Trottier, the surrounding roads, you know, Lundblad, things like that, just to make sure everybody is spaced appropriately. But we didn't want to rule it out because it's such a special event in town and a big event in town. So that is, it's kind of in the same token as the concerts and the movies. So we're working on that. We want to make it go, but the rate, it looks like we're going towards a fireworks only event, which I think would be great as long as the mosquitoes stay away.
Yeah, right. We're still waiting for that. I mean, I know it doesn't matter yet, but I think that sounds like a great compromise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of what we were looking for. And you know, again, we need to talk to PD and everything because they're a big component of it. Make sure they're okay and see what it would take on their end. Especially that the Petrie's gone too. I mean, that'll be completely off limits at that point. So it would shift the public, but luckily that's further down the road. So we have a little more time on that one. Gobble Wobble, same exact thing. I think we're going to move ahead like we're doing it. But when we're talking to the Friends, we kind of had the conversation, because the conversation right now is, you know, we have all the letters ready to go for sponsorships on their end. You know, do they pull the trigger and start collecting money? You know, the marathon was just canceled. Granted, that's tens of thousands of people, but so what we're doing right now is we're going to kind of go forward with planning as if it's going to happen, but I think we're going to keep it on a smaller, more in-house scale. So like soon, traditionally, they would be sending out their orders for T-shirts and things like that because their vendor is overseas and I think in Washington, D.C. too. So, you know, they're going to work with our vendor that I've been using since I got here, who's helped me in the past, admittedly, with other 5Ks I've done. And just trying to keep more things in-house, you know, talking about, okay, if we can't use the gym, we'll use the field like Trottier to set up tents for check-in. You know, we'll get rid of the kids race just because we'll need the space for congregating and things of that nature. So really initial talks about it. But, you know, we're going to go forward right now as if it's going to happen. I'd like to think at that point, because that will be under the new normal phase, there'll be some type of guidelines, some idea of what we can do to make things go, whether it be waves of people when it comes to running or, you know, just, you know, self-policing of the athletes who are participating. So, but the important thing is that we're planning right now as if it's going to go. We're getting a jump on planning, obviously, because we're talking about it right now. It's June, in hopes that, you know, it'll probably look different, but we're going to start planning so that we know sooner than later.
Backing up to Southborough Summer Nights, because I was thinking about this if we had it. The last 2 years we've done the Ice Bucket Challenge for Brian, and then obviously this year is a different, unfortunately different spot than we have been the last 2 years. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't have any good ideas, but if we do move forward, it might be nice to, obviously with Christine's input, just do something to, I don't know if it's transition or you know, just note why we're not, you know, if we don't do this Ice Bucket Challenge, which I'm assuming we're probably not, because the idea of going forward with the day does seem kind of difficult. I'm just planting the seed for ideas. Well, obviously Christine, should I approach Christine on that if we do go forward, and then B, what would be appropriate?
Do you know if they're planning to do the 5K again?
The ALS 1 run is happening virtually.
Mm-hmm. Just the Schifrin run?
The Schifrin, I haven't heard anything about.
Okay, because that came up in the conversation just because it was a couple weeks before ours. So we didn't know if there's been any talk that you know about if they're going to be doing it again.
I haven't heard a thing.
Okay.
But I chat with Christine. I can ask her.
Just curious. That's all I got. I think.
So the other thing I had actually stuck on the agenda was that we said a year ago we'd rotate chairs every year. So I wanted to bring that back up.
Has it been a year?
It has been a year. Isn't
It
that
doesn't feel
amazing?
like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're coming up on 1 year with Tim, so.
Best year ever.
Wow, that's crazy, huh?
Yeah,
That doesn't seem like a year ago.
I feel like it feels like 5 years ago.
I noticed a trend start to happen in the world when Tim joined the department. Tim joins Triple E. No, I'm just kidding.
So Dawn, you are co-chair right now. So I guess my question is, so are we passing the torch and you're taking over as chair and then nominating someone else as vice chair or co-chair?
So I candidly, I would prefer not to be the chair. I'm happy to continue as the vice chair, but I don't think I have this. It's challenging enough sometimes to keep up. I don't have the same flexibility I think I would need for that.
Okay, no, it's fair.
I'm happy to nominate Dave Candela.
The thought crossed my mind. So I guess the question is then does Dave or Kristen, are you guys interested?
Let me ask the question of you first in terms of what you're interested in.
I mean, I can keep doing this. This is fine. I guess we had said we were going to try to rotate this more, so I just didn't want to. I wanted to raise a question.
I'm fine either way. Okay. So maybe you and I should chat. Maybe we should not take a vote tonight,
Fair.
and you and I should chat offline, between you and I, without the rest of the commission. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So as to not violate any open meeting laws.
There you go. Okay, that's fine. So we can leave it at that, and we can come back to it next time if we want to.
Okay.
Or sorry, Dave, did you have any?
No, I was just going to say I've kind of got my hands full these days between
Right,
a
you got personnel.
couple of other commissions and also with a community that's going through a few changes.
Yeah.
But I certainly have time for the meetings, with rec, and I want to continue with that. I just think that I might not be able to do justice to chairing it, at least at the moment.
Okay, that's fair. All right. So then let's go back to the meeting minutes then.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve meeting minutes from May 18th, 2020.
I'll second.
All right, so all in favor? So we need a roll call vote?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Laval in favor, or aye, whatever.
Dave Nixon, yes.
Dumont, yes.
Hanson, yes. Okay. All right, so any other business to bring up?
We're good.
Okay, so then the only other thing I wanted to raise is scheduling our next meeting. So if we want to stay on a monthly cadence, it looks like the Zoom meeting is available Monday, July 6th at 7:30, if that works.
I'm just thinking that works for me.
the holiday weekend. I don't know if that changes anybody's plan Monday after.
That's
We
good.
still, are there still holidays? I don't,
No,
I
that's
don't.
like, yeah.
We could push it to Tuesday that week, if that works.
I could do either, because if I have to zoom in from wherever, I can zoom in from wherever, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
either
Monday-
one.
At work Tuesdays, I tend to have a lot of evening meetings.
Gotcha.
It was just a point. It's fine. I'm good with the 6th too.
You're fine with it? Okay, all right,
Fine.
then I will book that so we have the Zoom room. All right, so then make a motion to adjourn 8:24.
Second.
Under an hour.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, is this a miracle? Like, this is definitely a record. Laval, yes.
Dumont, yes.
Nixon, yes.
All right, awesome.
Cool.
All right.
Well,
Good to see
then,
everybody.
Hi, thanks, Tim, for all the updates
Yes.
and your hard work.
Got it. See
All
you
right.
later.
Well, stay well.
yes,
Bye.
you too. Talk later, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you.